Hello and welcome. Today we're going to explain a little bit about the prepositions in English. There are types and a little list of them. So let's start with the prepositions of place. So basically, it's just a review. Basically, the bowl is on the table because it's touching the surface. When we are talking about enclosed space, recipients, then we use in, the fruit is in the bowl. The packet is below or under the table, but in this case, it is next to it. The chair, or when you sit next to the table, or you sit at the table because you are close to it, in a close point, but not in or on the table. Lamps and other items that are not touching the surface, but are clearly related, especially, for example, in this case to the table, they are above or over the table. If we have an object that is situated between two similar items, then we say it is between. For example, the key is between the portraits. Now, more prepositions of place. This bag is behind the car, the hospital. It can be near the hospital or far from the hospital or far away. Then if you have a group of objects, not two, but a group of right number, and you want to refer to one of them, then you use among, not between, as we said in the other example, in the other slide. The white car is in front of the black car. In Spanish, we have we have trouble with this, because for us, in front of corresponds more to this image than to the image of the cars. So, but in this case, we use opposite, right, in English. So prepositions of movement. These prepositions basically are telling me that there is movement as well as situation in the space. So I go, for example, around the roundabout, around the tree. When I move from one place, that's the origin. I move from my house to the school. If I find a tunnel, I go through the tunnel because it is three-dimensional. That is, it's got I got width, deep, and height. If I can go past the hospital if I don't stop and just continue walking. The street, I go across the street or I cross the street, but cross is the verb. If I use the preposition, I go across the street. Notice that across has only two dimensions. It's deep and wide, but has no height. Same as when I use along, right? Along the street, it's just two-dimensional, not as in the case of through. That means that it has three dimensions. For example, a tunnel, a window, that would be through. More prepositions of movement. I can go under the table. If I jump not touching the table, I jump above the table. If imagine this is the class, I go into class. If I step onto or on the table, I'm moving to touch the surface of the table. If this is again the class, I go out of class. And if I'm onto the table or on the table and I jump off the table. Now, in a point in space, I can go towards the school, towards a person. In a building, stairs, I go up the stairs and down the stairs. Now let's move to prepositions of time. Basically, the three most common prepositions of time are in, on, and at. In Spanish, for us Spanish-speaking people, the three of them are en. We use en in the three cases, but they are used in different instances. I use in with months and years, either if they are alone or together, in June in 2021, in June 2021. Seasons in summer, in winter, with the parts of the day, basically every single part of the day except the ones we're going to see in at. Decades and centuries, when I refer to frequency, using week, in a week, with periods of time, for example, in the past, in a moment, in an hour. On is basically used when I refer to days. Every single time that I have a day written or I refer to a day, I will have to use on Monday, on Christmas Day, on my birthday. In dates, when I have the day, on 23rd April, even if I have the month, when I have the day, I have to use on. If I have the month and the year, but I have the day, then I go for on. When I use the day and the parts of the day or the times of the day, I have to use on Sunday morning, on Wednesday afternoon. Then at is just basically for hours, at 7 p.m. Also for some parts of the week, at night and sunset, at dawn, at midnight, and for the times of the meals, lunchtime, lunch, breakfast. You don't need to use specifically time. For some holidays, at Christmas, at Easter, at New Year, and with some expressions of time, at present, at the weekend, at the moment, at the time, at the same time, at that moment. Please mind that if you're using British accent, you will say at the weekend, but you can use on the weekend if you speak or write American English. Now, more prepositions of time. So for refers to a period of time. He has studied French 40 years. But if we refer to the time that action starts it, then we use since 2018. If something is happening while something else is, then we use during. They were talking during class. And if we are referring at the time that something starts and finishes, basically with hours, from 6 to 7 a.m. Until, or the shortening till, which is more informal and will be used speaking but not writing, not only as the informal letters and writings, are used to say up to which moment something lasts. For example, they live here until last summer, the shop is open until 8 p.m. If we are referring to holidays, we can either use until or to. If that action is in the past, then we should use ago. Ago tells us how far something happened in the past, right? For example, they left an hour ago. Until can be used in other tenses, but ago can only be used with the past simple. After refers to an event that will happen when something else is finished. For example, we are meeting after lunch. That means first we have lunch and then we are meeting. If we refer to the event that happens before, then we use before, obviously. So it's a previous point in time. What are we going to do before the meeting? Having lunch. So they are having lunch before they meet. I hope this is clear. Prepositions of time, then, we can use between and to refer also at the beginning and ending of a period of time. It can be used with hours, but not necessarily, right? From to is kind of more specific hours, like it opens at 9 and it will close at 10, for example. Between 9 and 10, it's kind of a more relaxed schedule, right? It's not like it's more an approximate time, right? Rather than for to, that's more specific. We use past tense for hours to indicate the minutes that have gone past from the hour, the minutes we have to wait till the next hour. For example, it's 20 past 4, it's 20 to 4. By refers to approximate times. I'll be there by 6. And within to a time span during which something should happen or must happen, you should receive a reply within 6 days. I'm sure you know all of them. And we're going to see some other prepositions that are important, but do not fall in the categories we have already explained or gone through. We have from, when we refer to somebody who gave me something. For example, typical example, I got a present from my mother. Of can be referred to who something belongs to, or what something belongs to, the wheel of the car, the page of the book. By refers to authorship. It can be used with books. The book I'm reading was written by J.K. Rowling, or also when you write a report, right? Or you can refer to authorship with by Susan Jones, for example. This is also used. By is also used in passive voice, which we will see later in the year. At, we use it when we speak about age. I started school at 4. It's the same as saying I started school when I was 4. And then a very important aspect for prepositions is transport, because they have a very specific use. Now, if I'm talking about general transport or ways of traveling, I will use by bike, by bus, by car, by sea, by air. If I'm talking about specific vehicles in which you can stand or walk, I would go for on. I traveled on a ship, on a bus, on a train. If I can sit or walk on top of that vehicle, then I will use on as well, on a bike, on a motorcycle, on skates. If I'm using a means of transport in which I must sit, for example, in a car, in a taxi, I will use in a taxi, in a car, in a helicopter. Okay, I cannot stand, I cannot walk. As for food, when I'm walking somewhere, I can both use on food and by food. Both of them are correct. So I hope it helped and it was not very overwhelming. We will do a little bit of practice in class. So see you then. Bye.